How good will Washington's offense be this upcoming NFL season? We got to talk about it. I want to give a special shout out to the sponsor of this video, Manscape. So Manscape recently just launched their Lawnmower 4.0, and listen, if you are a guy who does a lot of shaving underneath, the Lawnmower 4.0 is the perfect tool for you because listen, my first time shaving a couple of months ago went terrible. I had a bunch of scrapes, I had a bunch of bruises, and I also had patches because I didn't finish the job. So when Manscaped sent me the Lawnmower 4.0, I used it, and I was a little bit scared, okay? Because I was like, I ain't trying to give myself patches and give myself injuries like I did last time, my first time shaving. But when I used the Lawnmower 4.0, let me tell you guys something. It was a easy process. I had no scrapes, no bruises. It was no pain. Listen, if you're a guy who does a lot of shaving underneath, make sure that you guys go ahead and cop the Lawnmower 4.0 using my promo code JT for 20% off plus free shipping off your Manscaped purchase. Once again, make sure that you guys use promo code JT for 20% off your purchase plus free shipping. Your balls will thank you. Last year, Washington's offense was not all that great. You didn't really have a lot of talent at wide receiver. Aside from Terry McLaurin, they were pretty much paper thin at wide receiver. Now, you did have Logan Thomas, who had a really good season, a better season than what a lot of people are talking about. He had 72 catches for 670 receiving yards, and he also caught 6 touchdowns as well. Then you had Antonio Gibson, who had a really good rookie season. He had 11 touchdowns, 795 rushing yards. But aside from those 3 guys, and McLaurin, Thomas, and Antonio Gibson, there wasn't a lot of playmakers on this offense. Now, over this year's offseason, Washington improved on offense a lot. First, you upgrade at quarterback, moving on from Alex Smith and bringing in Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now, I don't want to say that to undermine what Alex Smith did for Washington last year, because Alex Smith had a really solid season for Washington. Not only did he provide Washington with some stability at quarterback, but he also proved to be a very good leader, a leader that Washington really needed offensively, because you had Dwayne Haskins. We know what happened with Dwayne Haskins. So you had Alex Smith, who came in, and not only did he provide you with some stability at quarterback, but he also provided you with some great leadership, which also was a big reason why he ended up winning Comeback Player of the Year last year. So I don't want to make it seem like, oh, they moved on from Alex Smith, like Alex Smith was terrible. Like, I feel like Alex Smith did a really good job. When you look at what he had to work with last year, he did a really good job. He made a bad situation turn into a really good situation, because there were a lot of quarterbacks out there who probably couldn't have done what Alex Smith did last year with the talent that Washington had on offense. So I don't want to disrespect Alex Smith in any kind of way with the statement that I just made. I wasn't saying that to be disrespectful or anything like that. But what I am saying is that Ryan Fitzpatrick is a pretty significant upgrade from Alex Smith. When you look at Ryan Fitzpatrick, I feel like Ryan Fitzpatrick never should have got benched by Miami for Tua. Aside from that week 1 performance that he had against New England, he was pretty solid for Miami. So the fact that he kind of got forced out by Miami kind of rubbed me the wrong way, especially when you look at what he did when he brought Miami from behind, coming in off the bench, bringing back Miami to win that game against the Las Vegas Raiders, a game that had playoff implications. Like, Ryan Fitzpatrick is a guy who is more than capable of being able to get the Washington football team to the playoffs. And when you look at this offense, you improve the wide receiver position. Last year, aside from Terry McLaurin, Washington had nobody. So now you bring in Curtis Samuel. You bring in Curtis Samuel in free agency. Now you pair him up with Terry McLaurin. Then you get rookie out of the University of North Carolina, Dominique Brown, who is one of my favorite wide receivers coming out of last year's draft. Well, this past year's NFL draft. I think they have a really good group of wide receivers to work with. Now you have tight end Logan Thomas, who Logan Thomas had a really good season last year. As a matter of fact, you could have made the case and say that Logan Thomas deserved to be a Pro Bowler with how good he played last year. He caught 72 passes for 670 receiving yards and had 6 touchdowns as well. Like, Logan Thomas was at times the second best player on Washington's offense, at least when it came to the passing game. So for Logan Thomas this year, I think he could end up having a better season in 2021 than what he had in 2020 last year. So I'm really high on Logan Thomas making that transition from, he came into the league as a quarterback out of Virginia Tech. He ended up getting moved to tight end. It kind of took him a while to get a grasp of the tight end position, but last year for Washington, he was a pleasant surprise. Then you have Antonio Gibson, who was in the running for Offensive Rookie of the Year last year. He was really good. I expect Antonio Gibson to have a breakout year for Washington. I think that he potentially could be a Pro Bowl caliber player this year for Washington. And he had 11 touchdowns as a rookie. So if he ends up being the full RB1 for Washington, because remember last year there was kind of like a running back by committee last year, which kind of held back Antonio Gibson's production. But with Antonio Gibson being the pretty much locked in RB1 and being the full workhorse back in this offense, I think he could also be a guy who could be in for a breakout year. So this is an offense that from a skill position standpoint definitely is significantly better this year than what they were last year, because wide receiver aside from Terry McLaurin, there was pretty much nobody there. Now you also have the offensive line, which is a little bit of a concern. Now you have left tackle Charles Leno, who I think should be pretty solid. You got offensive guard Brandon Sheriff, who is one of the best in the game. And you got offensive tackle rookie Samuel Cosmi out of Texas. Now, Washington's offensive line was a concern last year, and it wasn't all that bad. The offensive line improved game by game. This was an offensive line that in the second half of last year was pretty solid. But this year still is... And I don't think it's bad, but I still think it's an area of concern. So you get rid of Morgan Moses, which I think was a pretty good decision. I hope that my Pittsburgh Steelers end up picking him up. So for Washington, you still have the same questions on the offensive line this year that you had last year. Now, I don't think the offensive line is going to be bad, but yeah, it's going to be a work in progress. I'm just going to say the offensive line is TBD, to be decided. I need to see more of it when we progress throughout the offseason, heading into training camp and preseason. But overall, I don't think this offensive line should be all that bad. So this is an offense that definitely has improved drastically compared to what this offense was last year, because this was one of the worst offenses in the NFL. Like, they were 25th in pass yards per game, they were 29th overall in yards per game, they were 25th in scoring. Like, this was an offense that struggled to sustain drives, and this defense built this offense out a lot. And that goes to, you know, the cliche that they say the best offense is a great defense. And in certain cases, Washington's defense was the main reason why they won games. I think there was one game, I forgot what it was, but the defense pretty much won them that game. So for Washington, this offense should be at least average. I think this is an offense that has potential to be average to above average. This offense probably should be around that 15th to 17th area. I also couldn't be surprised if this offense ends up being above average, because you got the big playability of Terry McLaurin, you got Curtis Samuel there, and Dommy Brown. Then of course you got Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback, and when you have Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback, you're going to have the potential to have a lot of big playability when it comes to being able to throw the football down the field. So this is an offense that I expect to be average. And, you know, I think that's definitely a big improvement, consider how this offense was last year, being one of the worst in the NFL. So I think this offense probably would be average, but it also does have the upside with guys like Antonio Gibson, Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, and rookie Dommy Brown to be an above average group. I think it just all depends on the performance that you're going to get out of the offensive line this year. So if this offensive line ends up being better than what it was last year, then this offense probably could end up taking a step up, being above average. But if this offensive line is like average, or, you know, a little bit below average, then this offense probably will kind of get held back by that. But you definitely can't not say that Washington's offense did not get better. This offense is really improved. This may be one of the most improved offenses heading into this year's NFL season, because this was an offense that had a lot of holes. Like, You were paper thin at wide receiver. You didn't really have that much of an identity on offense aside from Antonio Gibson and Terry McLaurin carrying the load at times. And sometimes you had Logan Thomas who stepped up. But aside from that, it wasn't really that much of a dynamic threat. You didn't have guys who could make things happen after the catch, really. So, like, for Washington, I really like what they did this offseason. I'm really excited to see how this Washington football team offense performs this year for the 2021 NFL season, or the 2021 regular season. So you guys let me know how you guys feel about Washington's offense down in the comment section down below. Like I mentioned earlier, this definitely is one of the most improved offensive units heading into this year. The only position I have my concerns about is the offensive line, but I don't think the offensive line is going to be that bad. Obviously, if they got rid of Morgan Moses, then I'm pretty sure they have a lot of confidence in the guys who they have on their offensive line. So you also bring back Eric Flowers as well. Remember that he left for Miami in free agency a year ago. Now they ended up trading for him back. So I think this offensive line definitely should be average at least. So if this offensive line is average, I definitely think that this offense definitely has potential to end up being above average. But being realistic, I think this offense, like I mentioned earlier, is probably going to be somewhere around 15th to 17th this year, which is definitely a big improvement considering where this offense ranked last year. So let me know how you guys feel about this offense down in the comment section down below. Make sure that you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and content, and thanks for watching.